Welcome to our Paramotor Nation. Paramotor Nation is sponsored by iFly Indiana. iFly Indiana provides USPPA certified powered paragliding or paramotor training on their equipment or yours at prices as low as $2,000. Lone Star Paramotor. Lone Star Paramotor provides foot launch classes, trike training classes, transition to trike classes, and confidence builder classes near San Antonio, Texas. They are a USPPA certified flight school as well as an Aviator PPG Alliance partner. One Up Adventures and ParamotorProps.com. They love to share their passion for paramotoring and adventure. They also supply the world's best carbon fiber propellers to U.S. paramotor pilots at extremely competitive prices with fast and free shipping. Wisconsin Flight Sports. It is their goal to provide a safe, affordable, fun, and accessible training program to individuals interested in entering powered paragliding. Fly PPG Discovered Powered Paragliding. They are exclusive Midwest importer and distributor of adventure paramotors, trikes, and wings. All of their training is done on their private, highly manicured airfield located on a 48-acre farm. Fly My PPG. They are a US PPA certified Aviator PPG Alliance school offering personalized paramotor training, customized motors, paragliders, and service repairs. Wicked Wings Logo. Get a customized logo for your glider in one or multiple colors. Email Craig Taylor for more information. Aviator Paramotor. Aviator Paramotor offers a unique, service-based method of learning to fly, focused specifically on the individual student. Aviator Paramotor offers a vast array of top-quality paramotors, paragliders, and more. PPG Lights. PPG Lights are a great way to have fun at twilight on your paramotor, impress your friends, and fly legally during twilight with the strobe pattern which is included. PPG lights come with a whopping 45 unique patterns, and most of them can be adjusted to create even more variety. Be sure to check out our website at www.ourparamotornation.com to see all upcoming episodes as well as the past ones. Check out all of our sponsors and so much more resources available to you. And now, let's get started with this week's episode of Our Paramotor Nation. Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend. Hope everybody's getting out there and flying. It's summertime. I've got my COVID mask on. I guess everybody else is going to be joining me here just a second. I know out there we've got trike flyer Dave Ruff is coming back from Louisiana. Hey, there he is. What's up, trike flyer? How are you?
Doing really good. I can't breathe with the mask on and stuff, so if I could take it off, that'd be great.
Only when our guests say it's okay, because they are our guests and they requested that we wear our masks today. How was going down with Kyle Lowe in Louisiana this weekend?
Man, it was off the hook. Flew yesterday, went up this morning on one-on-one flight. It was blowing 1 out of the north. We got up about 500-600 feet. It was blowing 30 out of the east. So great bump tolerance. Wasn't all that bad, but at one point I think I was flying about 56 miles an hour downwind. Okay. And just having a great time, man. Watching the students. It's all about the students.
All right, I can't breathe, guys. I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry, Dominic. I can't do it. I can't breathe. Ripman Ryden. John Ripa, how are you?
Hey,
buddy?
guys, what's up? Back again, filling in for Gorilla.
How was your flying down there in Florida this week?
Oh, this morning the air was butter. I mean, I haven't felt air like that since before the fly-in. It was one of the nicest days.
Awesome. We have our guest tonight, Tim, Garvey, Dominic, Vitantonio. Did I do it right? Close enough? Awesome. You guys are on mute. You can unmute yourselves now. I do want to say hi to everybody in the chat that is here tonight. Linda, Bill, Greg Taylor, Crazy Uncle Bob. Thank you for that donation to the show. I appreciate it. Chuck Johnson, Bill H, Kevin Can Fly, Chris with the 009s, JP, Nick, Jillian is here. Kevin Can Fly, and so JP, I said. Kelby, Bill H, I said everybody, Bob Garber. Thank you all. If I missed anybody, I apologize, but thanks for showing up. As Dominic had said, if you don't know Dominic and you don't know Tim, Dominic said in the pre-show, they've been flying since we were in diapers. Yeah, that
True
was
story.
Or high school, one or the other.
Something like that. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And
Dave, time out real quick.
We do
if
have
I
two
can.
announcements. Yes, go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, I've got that announcement, but guys, there's even a more important announcement over After Dark for this upcoming Wednesday. Guys, if you have not yet, you need to check out Dave Wolfe's past 2 videos. He does not brag on himself enough. He had a one-on-one interview with Tucker Gott, and then he also released episode 3 of This Crazy Paramotor Life. Guys, you've got to check it out. Dave has been doing a phenomenal job. Dave didn't know I was going to say this, but he doesn't brag on himself enough. So, guys, make sure you're checking that out after this show. And then on to other things. Shut up, Dave. And then on to other things. Guys, we will not be having an After Dark show this upcoming Wednesday because I will be on the road heading down to Florida for the poker run and also for the SIV class. And but we will continue the week after that with an Off the Hook episode. And yeah, join me there. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Really, I didn't know you were going to say that. And it's very kind.
You deserve it, man. You deserve it.
I did also want to say last week we did not do an after show, and I know some people were upset with us about that and throwing eggs, but that's okay. No, we will do an after show today. I will say this is for myself. I don't stay on the after shows very long just because this show, I started setting this show up around 6 o'clock tonight, and by the time we're done with the show, it's going to be 3.5 hours. I was away from my family, so we'll get you in. If you want to join in the after show, I'll give you about 5 minutes before I stop letting people in. And, this is part of the community. This whole show is a community, and we want you to feel a part of the community and hang out and chat as long as you'd like. All right. No more announcements. On to Dominic and Tim. I'll let you guys take over and just talk about how you got into the sport. We're going to talk a lot about that they are both paramotor pilots, paraglider pilots, where they were trained, what they do now, some of the adventures that they've recently been on. And then also, Tim was recently in an accident, and Dominic was actually caught it on what?
I said
no, no. Dominic actually caught it on video. I have the video. I have not shown the video to anybody, and we'll see that tonight. And we'll let them kind of talk about what happened and what could have been done to prevent it. So I will let you two take it away. Just tell us a little about yourself, how you got into paramotoring / paragliding, and start with that.
Yeah, good thing it's an hour-long show because
it's an hour and a half. We got plenty of time.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. But yeah, my name's Tim Garvey. I started flying in 2006. I had no interest. I see a lot of guys, they always talked about how they always thought about flying and jumping off of roofs and doing other stuff when they were younger, but I had no interest. I was such a pussy about heights. I mean, I was so afraid. I was so afraid.
No, my daughter's watching this show.
No, I was such a pansy about heights.
Sorry.
Even in the military, jumping out of helicopters and rappelling out of stuff, I was always afraid to be up. I was the guy who was afraid to be in a Ferris wheel. But I moved to Cleveland from New York in 2000. I think it was 2006. Every night I'd get home from work, I'd hear this buzzing in the sky, and it intrigued me. And I'd be eating supper, I'd look outside, and it was this guy, actually, after I found out, or a guy named Kurt Pfister, because he lived in the same town. And I said, I gotta try this. I gotta try it. So one day I heard the buzzing, and I've got my bike. I had a GSXR 1100, and I went over and found this guy flying. I stopped, and he was up about 1,000 feet, and he did this high G spiral right down in front of me, and right maybe 20 feet above me, he goes, sell that freaking thing and buy one of these. Yep. So I did, and I was actually afraid of the whole thing at first. I went through the training. It was the free, flight junkie training, 486. I think it was literally 5 minutes worth of training that I had, but I think I did it a little bit differently. I was seeing a lot of people that Kurt had trained, and they get it within 3 days. That's not right. I never seen him really spend the time that he needed with some of the people. So what I did was I originally spent a little bit of time with him. Then I went home, and it seemed like it was 4 to 5 weeks of me just playing around after I just roughly learned how to kite the glider, and did a lot of that, worked on that before I went back to have him chuck me in the air, and he did. He pulled me on my A's, chucked me in the air. Got my first, A assist. Got my first flight in. I think he gave me my second one, and after that, I went pretty much on my own. We always joke, we'll get into it more later. I think my first 800 flights, I only did forwards. I was afraid of doing reverses. It was a very low flyer for a lot of times because I was afraid of heights. It seemed like after I went over 1,500 feet, even when I was really good at doing wing overs and stuff, really high wing overs, after I went like 1,500 feet, I used to start, tensing up a little bit. Many times we'd do a lot of cross countries. I mean, I think our first 5 years, 5 or 6 nights a week, we would do cross countries, and we're talking 3-hour long cross countries.
Wow.
Just take off, fly downwind. You'd always have a chase driver.
What year was that you started?
06.
2006. Yeah.
So I gotta stop because I'll have tons of questions I forget if I don't periodically stop you.
Sure.
So that was 06. What flight junkie number were you?
486.
486. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
Dominic beat you by a couple. Dominic was flight junkie number?
So I'm number 5, flight junkie number 5, Cinco.
Number 5.
So anyhow,
06. Whew.
it was, this was 2002. I didn't know what paragliding was. I had never seen a paraglider. So unlike Tim said he never thought about flying, nothing like that. I never thought about flying, but I always wanted to skydive. I was always thinking, you know what? I'd like to jump out of a plane. I'd love to skydive. But the guys I hung around with, none of them were into it. It was all, we used to party, just, nothing about skydiving, nothing like that. So I was into rollerblading. So I'm in the park, I'm rollerblading with my girlfriend, and I see this guy flying around. And the first thing I thought, Flintstone, flying around. You guys are too young.
Free flying.
I know who Fred Flintstone is, sir.
With the egg beater thing. So I see this guy flying a parachute, and I'm going, what the hell is that guy doing? I couldn't figure it out. So I stand there, and now I realize, I didn't know it at the time. Well, it was Kurt, but he saw me and my girlfriend stop, and we were looking, and he, of course, knew we were fascinated. He comes down, flying low, comes over the field, does a foot drag. I thought he was going to crash because I had no idea what he was doing. Flew around a little bit, took off, left. For the rest of the day, I'm thinking, what the hell was that guy doing? I got to do that. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to find this guy? I called the police, local Twinsburg police, and I figured, hey, cops got to know about this. I said, there's this guy flying around the sky. Did you ever see him flying around? Make a long story short, he knew Kurt Pfister. He gave me his name. I went there, went to his house. He starts giving me the spiel, talking up fresh breeze, training and all this other stuff. I said, dude, cut it out. Stop it. How much is it? He gave me a number. I think it was $6,900. I wrote him a check, and within, 2 weeks later, the 2 big boxes come from Fresh Breeze. We put it together, did a little bit of kiting. I had it was an ITV glider, an old ITV. It was a year 2000 glider. He tells me we're going to launch. I'm going to launch. We went up the street to my cousin's house. He's got a few acres up there. A bunch of people, like 15 people, get out with the lawn chairs. They're sitting there getting ready to watch Dominic launch. He's going to fly this powered paraglider. I don't have to tell you what happened. You know what happened. Run. Boop, bam, busted a prop.
Don't you know you're going to break at least 3 sets of props in your first year if your foot launch?
Well, I never did. Yeah, Tim never broke a prop.
I never did.
I think I broke I broke another prop, and then I had a successful flight. But anyhow.
2002?
July 5th of 2002.
Flight junkie number 5.
Yeah.
Number 5. So I want to.
She started him when he was doing traveling.
Then he started the traveling show right after that. It was probably a year or two later. But the interesting thing is, I had no idea there was something called paragliding. Power, you know, I knew about motoring. I had no idea people could free fly until I saw a couple of guys at Edgewater Paragliding, and I was that's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about that too. Yep. But, you know, so interesting enough, and this is how Tim and I met. I'm going to let Tim tell the story of when we first met.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad I met you, by the way.
Me too.
It's a good friendship.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time, you know, a lot of people talk bad about Kurt, but he does have a good place in my heart. I mean, he's the guy who trained me. He's the first guy. Yeah. But I spent a lot of time, a lot of my first 6-7 years, you know, since he lived so close, I'd always go down and see how the new people were. Cause that is, you know, it's interesting to see broken props and
carnage. We call it carnage. Scene edge.
But I'd go down there a lot of times Dom and I would just fly down there. It's 30 miles from our house. So we'd fly down there and drop in. Well, I remember I went down one time and I seen David out in the field, and Kurt was in his house, I think. And you were
he was out shopping.
Cooking a hamburger.
Yeah.
He was out shopping.
Shopping or something. And you had your glider out on the ground, and I don't think you knew how to kite it or anything.
No, I was just practicing setting up and putting it away, setting up and putting it away, because that's all I do from watching a video.
Yeah, and I went over to you and I says, do you want to see how that thing looks like up in the air? And you said, like, really? No way. So I pulled it up and I was just
so excited.
And you were like, no way, that's the first. Let me get a picture of that. He said, I've never even seen that up in the air.
What was it, a Power Atlas?
No, it was
an air design.
Air design.
Easy.
Oh, good wing.
Yeah, but I was surprised that he'd never even kited it, you know, and he never even had it up in the air.
Did you pre-kite it?
But so I think you really appreciated that, you know.
Absolutely.
I gave you some tips, some pointers, and then I can't remember if that was the day that we had to party too, and then we ate some ribs and had a good time.
We had some ribs. That video was taken down.
I couldn't find it. I went to go look for that the other day. It's gone.
Yeah. Most of the videos of me are gone. There's only one that's left, was with me and my son when I was out there the very first time that I just came out to see the place, get to know him a little bit. And someone was learning on a Simonini, and he started up the Simonini. That's the only video that he still has up of me. But
yeah. But all in all, you know, a lot of people do talk bad about Kurt, and people have their different feelings. He is a good friend of mine. I mean, a lot of people can take him for 5 minutes or none at all, one or the other. So
yeah.
He's a unique character. He does get a lot of business, and I think even with bad talk, we always say that even if it goes bad, he gets good business. But
yeah,
that's him.
Why do you think, well, actually, so what do you think has changed since you've been there since the beginning, Dom? What do you think has changed from the training so many years ago to what it is today? Has it progressed? Is it still the same? Is it better?
Well, it's definitely way better. I mean, you take, you know, the guys out in Florida at Aviator, you know, I mean, I've seen their videos and stuff like that. You know, I mean, how many instructors do they have? 10, 15, something like that? How many gliders do they have? How many motors do they have? They got a big, gigantic airport they train at. That's the new, you know, I mean, that's just the new generation, really. They're training these young kids. I'll tell you what's changed are the pilots, the young pilots that are getting trained. You know, I went to a lot of fly-ins when we started, you know, from 2002, I'll bet until 2010, me and Kurt probably went to, well, that's 8 years, 3. I bet we went to 25 fly-ins. We used to go to fly-ins all over. Jim Jackson, I don't know if you ever heard his name. He had a famous one down in Florida at Treasure Island. But everything, I don't want to say it was in its infancy, but to me it was. The sport was kind of in its infancy. Now, you know, with, you know, the guys out there, the Tucker Gotts out there, the Matt Woodwards out there, you know, that go and do it the right way and train. I mean, you want to learn how to do acro, you know, you can go train with an acro pilot and pick all that stuff up that these guys developed for 15 years. You know, you couldn't do that 20 years ago or 18 years ago because it just wasn't out there, you know.
When I first started, it really wasn't either. It was either Parchaneski. There was Bruce Brown.
Yeah. Paul Zarnicki, Kurt Pfister.
Who was the guy who
Jim
California?
Jackson was in Florida.
Who owned Blackhawk originally.
Bob
Armand.
Bob Armand.
Okay.
But there wasn't a lot of people, and there was no, really sophisticated, instructors that had units.
Really set it off from when I was originally trained, which I really got it, and I got it with Eric from Aviator. When they used to start taking videos of people during their kiting practices and all day long, that's really, and I tried to talk to some other trainers that we talked about to start doing that, because at the end of the day, you just don't go out and eat and do some stuff. You sit down, you watch what you did wrong, right. You see things. So I think that was one of the big turning points in the sport, and as well as making you launch yourself. That was another thing. And I never had that, but I ended up launching myself after.
It seems so simple, the videoing. I mean, that's what happened for me with Ross Gasaway taped me when I was up at Fly My PPG with Mike Cotter. I watched Chris Holbert at Predator Paramotor. He always videotapes his students as they're launching or kiting and shows them right there. It's not, hey, the instructor is gone. Hey, the instructor is there with you during that time. So I'm going to go back to that question because maybe I asked it not as well as I should have. My question was, how has the training changed at Flight Junkies? Has it progressed? Have you seen it? And then after this question, I don't want to talk about Flight Junkies anymore.
No.
About you guys and your experiences.
I think other trainers train more. I learned it more through the group of guys and this guy here, as far as what to do and what not to do out there. What trimmers were. I didn't know what a trimmer was.
Okay, so let's ask that question. So that's another question too, because I know, Tim, you've gone back, like you said, you've watched students, like you came out and you saw me. Have you seen anything different from when you were there training to the last time you were out there watching students train?
My biggest thing I seen different from him was originally there was no trikes. Trikes weren't, it was all foot launch.
That's true. Yeah.
You weren't allowed to have a kick-in strap because those are for sissies. But I use a kick-in strap every day. Now everything's trike because it's easier. And let's face it, for him, it's a business, right? It's a business. And he's making money at it, and he's making damn good money. I truly feel he sells more than anybody else. By far.
Well, I don't know about
other than his counting
Aviator,
system.
And businesses like that. Aviator probably.
He does keep Fresh Breeze in business in the United States, though. That's the only thing I will say.
Definitely.
But
okay, so here's another question.
I don't see anything different.
Okay. What have you learned since you left?
Oh my gosh!
Learned how to fly. Learned how
to fly. Learn how to sectionals, stuff like that. Which a lot of that stuff. If you're just a guy flying around at a local field or whatever, you don't need to know all that stuff. But what we do, we fly. Like I say, my first year, I flew over 300 and some hours. I stopped counting after almost 3,000 hours. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of time we fly. But I learned more, I think, after 2002. Dom got me involved into paragliding. And paragliding to me now is more my life than paramotoring. I mean, if you ask me if I'm at work and you called me and said, hey, let's go motoring tonight, or you say, hey, Edgewater's on, let's go out there, I'm out of work. I'm gone. So I've learned a lot since then, more of how a glider reacts. We do a lot of, we collapse. We do a lot of stuff up in the air with gliders. So I would have never learned.
I want to talk more about how Dom got into paragliding, but I have to finish that by saying every time I take my Fresh Breeze out of my trailer and drag it across the garage and the weight of that thing, I think that Tim Garvey's one tough son of a bitch. I can't believe he launches.
I fly a monster every day. Every day.
74 pounds without fuel. I'm like, oh my God, this thing.
I flew the monster too for years. I started when I was 41. Okay, in 2001. I can't do it anymore. But back in those years, I used to fly the monster all the time. I love the monster. I put a single blade on it. There's the 2-blade prop instead of the 4. And I used to love that thing because I love the power. So you're right. 75 pounds dry. You put 3 gallons of gas in it. You get your gear in there. You get your reserve. You're up over 100 pounds. But it never bothered me. It never bother me. Now I just, I can't. And, kneeling down and stuff,
Well, I will say
the
this
knees aren't
though,
the
that
same.
and the Simonini are the quietest units. And over the years, all the other units that we've had or heard of, like we had
The plastic
the
Yeah.
paramotor, the Renegade with the
yeah.
first 185.
The
It was
Floby,
so
yeah.
noisy. Dom could hear me flying over his house from 5 miles away. But the Simonini and the Monsters are so quiet. I will give that to Fresh Breeze. I hate to say it, where we fly is congested as hell.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of houses. I mean, we go high, but those things are so quiet. You can't even hear them.
Yeah, but they're I like the light motor. I
Have you-
like the Moster.
Dom, have you ever flown the Atom 80?
I've never flown the Atom 80. No, I
So
mean, I
quiet.
weigh over 200 pounds.
You can
I
still
don't
fly
know
it.
that- Huh?
You wouldn't get much. You wouldn't get a lot of lift very
No, I
quickly.
like power. I like to get climb, so I like the Moster. So I bought the Moster on the mini plane rigid frame. I love it because I put it on like a jacket. I could pick it up and sling it on my back. I don't have to kneel down and get in. That's big for me. Plus, it's close to your back, and it feels a lot lighter. So I love it. I love the thing, and I like the low hook ends because it's more like paragliding. I don't like this anymore. The Jesus Christ position, I call it. You're way up here, when you're paragliding, because we're used to paragliding. So it's, you got the same feel.
When did Jesus Christ go like this?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I mean, you're flying a Fresh Breeze. You got to go like this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just a question. I didn't know if you knew him. You've been flying since I was in diapers. All right. How did you find paragliding?
Somebody, when people knew that I was flying a powered paraglider, you know how it is. People, your friends and stuff, you're crazy. That's crazy. Well, someone had said, there's these people at Edgewater Park that do the same thing. And I got to thinking, no, they don't, because I don't think we're allowed to fly there, whatever. One time I went to Edgewater Park and I saw Brian and John, these two guys who are friends of mine now. I saw them ridge soaring. And I had no idea there was something called paragliding. I really didn't. I wasn't watching YouTube, wasn't doing that stuff.
Well, there was none of that.
There really wasn't a lot of that. But I saw these guys levitating and flying and ridge soaring, and I was just dumbfounded. I was flabbergasted. I'm sitting there like, how are you guys staying up and going up? And of course, it was ridge lift and they were ridge soaring.
Wait, before you talk any further, hold on. Because I'm from Cleveland, I totally get it. But describe Edgewater Park, where it is in conjunction to downtown Cleveland and the lake.
Edgewater Park is probably 3 or 4, maybe 3 miles west of the major downtown metropolis right there. So it's just right there. There's no other site in the world like it.
It's the best.
Where you can ridge soar right there, and you're looking at the Terminal Tower in downtown and the Brown Stadium and the boats and the harbor and all.
We go to Torrey Pines, California all the time. I'd rather be at Cleveland.
Wow.
Good day. On a good day in Cleveland, we call it the Little Torrey Pines. When it's working, we get high 600, 700, 800 feet over.
We go 4 or 5 miles.
And then we can go down the coast and then ridge soar or soar the condos. We call them the condos. They're apartment buildings, high rises. They're like 30. You know where the Gold Coast is. The Winton place.
I got engaged at Pier W.
Oh, right. We go to Pier W. Right over Pier W.
I know, that's where I got engaged.
It's just really unbelievable.
After the show, if anybody's interested, just go to my name on YouTube, and I got tons of videos of flying.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It's crazy. Going on the rooftops, people handing beer to you.
Or go to Edgewater Paragliding on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about. We're going to come back to this because I've got my video and my other computer is about 10% battery left.
Okay.
So I want to talk about Tim's accident, and then we're going to come back and talk more about the paragliding and Edgewater, and then also the famous person or famous in the paragliding world that you flew with out in Colombia recently.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Before we do that, can I set the stage?
Yes, go ahead and start setting the stage. I'm going to start setting up this.
All right. So like you say, one of the big things about why I wanted to get on this site with you is to explain some of the stuff as some of our older paragliders our bag of luck sometimes runs out. And we always said you got a big bag of luck, and I used it all up. The site we were flying at is what's the name of the park? Osborne Park up in Menor, I think. We're facing the lake on Lake Erie. In front of the lake, in front of the park, there's no bailout. Sometimes there's a little beach, but there's no beach there. So you're going in to drink if something's wrong. On each side, there's some pretty damn tall trees. I think over 100 feet trees. And behind us on our launch is a big field with a bunch of kids. So the one thing that when we're done watching this video, I want you to realize is why my bag of luck ran out was I had a friend there from work who was trying to get into the sport. And I was showing off a little bit, as we all do. When we get around people, you know, low, we do some heavy wing overs. I'm into some high G spirals. I like doing that low, which is stupid. I did have a brand new glider. My wife just bought me a Colorado. It's a little bit large. I should have bought the 25, but I bought the 27. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit lofty on me.
Colorado's awesome. I love Colorado.
Yeah, it's nice. It launched nice, but I had my monster. But I'll let you play the video here. But I wanted to just set the stage where there was a slot that we had, and I was right at the edge of the slot. So
I'm going to play the video. And then at the end of the video, you're going to see the carnage of what was left over. And you can talk about it. If you want me to play it again, we can do that too. And then you can narrate it. But let's watch it first without any narration. Okay, so I'm going to do this here. And 1 second. And here we go.
No sound.
No sound. Let me
Yeah, because you can hear the motor cut off.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. We're gonna
right before this video, I just went up high and I did 3 high G's coming down, and I just was turning out of the last spiral. It was a left-handed spiral, which I shouldn't have done.
Oh, here we go. Okay. We're gonna try that one more time.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, that's not good. He's all right. Oh!
That was a beautiful landing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Everybody at home, I want everybody to go, whoa! Everybody, whoa! All right, I'm going to play it again. You can go ahead and narrate it through this time, Tim.
Okay, as I was coming out of the spiral, I was, like I say, showing off. All of a sudden, the engine cuts out. I thought I felt it go, so I went to go turn left.
Whoa!
Whoa! And I realized
that's not good.
It, so I tried to turn back in the field.
He's all right.
Kept turning to the right and landed into the field.
Oh!
But as I thought I had enough room to go forward towards that trees, and you got to realize I'm usually flying a 23-meter Gin Tribe, which is a paragliding glider. And I get some pretty good sink rate with it. So I figured I'd make it, but I realized this Colorado just didn't want to come down. So I'm looking at the trees and I'm thinking, my wife just bought this for me. I don't want to go into the trees. So I said, I'm going to stall it. I just made the quick decision and realized when we're playing around on the ground, if you look at the video, there's only about 1.5 seconds to make a choice. I could have kept turning right and landed downwind, which yeah. I think Dominic thought I was going to do, but my throttle was, I thought I felt it coming back on, but what had happened was the float bowl carburetor flooded out because I was in such a high spiral. It flooded out, it killed the motor. So I originally thought I was going to go out over towards the lake. Then I thought, stupid choice, going out in water, you know, it's kind of deep right here. I could have made another left-hand turn, but the Colorado dives pretty darn good. I would have probably went right into the ground. And I was thinking there was kids behind me, you know, I want to be safe. So I went towards the trees. And then once I seen the trees, it was about 20, 25 feet up in the air. I just made this conscious decision to just bury the brakes. I'm so used to paragliding. We do this when we're at Edgewater. I can come in and I could just pretty much flap in. But this was I don't know where my stall point is on this glider. I'm very good at whenever we're trying out new gliders, we try our stall point so I can know when it stalls. And I never done it on this one. And I just buried it. And all of a sudden that freaking thing just went right together and I fell back right under the motor, and crumple zone saved me. So, yeah, I lost a lot of my pride that day. I mean, after so I guess out of this, you know, I was thinking about it after it happened. One of our good friends,
the whole cage.
that?
I'm looking at the picture of the cage. You lost a lot of cage.
Yeah, I that's my last time I'm going to fly that unit. I'm going to get something lighter. I'm done with the heavy stuff. But we had a good buddy, Mike Genovic. He's a trainer up here too. He doesn't do all the stuff that we do. I mean, I learned a lot with Dominic with the old Silex. Remember doing some heavy wing overs, some spirals and stuff. But Mike always just gets up and goes and takes off and flies around.
Mike's very conservative. Yeah.
Yeah. You know Mike?
Yeah, I know Mike. He comes down to Florida and we fly on the beach together.
Yeah. So Mike, all of a sudden, Mike would just give us plane tickets and we'll go down to Melbourne Beach and we'll fly with him. He's an awesome guy.
He flies the fresh breeze like you, and he just goes down the beach for like 3 hours.
He doesn't do anything spectacular. And he always tells me, you know, people love that just as much as what you do. You know, he says you don't have to show off in front of them. And, you know, it's always fun. I like doing spirals. I like doing heavy wing overs. I don't do barrel rolls. I'm too old for that. But I think we should just take it easy for a little bit, especially when you're low to the ground. I go to fly-ins. I see these guys doing some pretty crazy shit towards the ground, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time. And you guys have been in the sport long enough to know eventually it's going to bite you.
It bit me. It bit me. I got lucky. I thought I broke my collarbone, but nothing really happened. Matter of fact, right after that, I took Dom's mini plane up. I mean, just to make sure I can get back on the horse right away. But
yeah, that's always a good thing.
Well, Tim, thanks for sharing that. And hopefully someone out there will learn something from what you had to go through. I'm going to let you, I don't want to post that on my YouTube channel. I'd rather you post it on yours.
Good. Now I can have the video.
It's yours.
Gotcha.
Charge you for it. Nah, it's free in all 50 states.
Plus Canada.
Cool. All right, let's go back to talking about paragliding off downtown. So how about paragliding? You mentioned Cleveland Brown Stadium. Have you ever gotten close to Cleveland Brown Stadium?
Yeah. Not with paragliding. A lot of times we fly up and down the coast. We go from Mike Genovic's house, which is on Neff and 180, somewhere around there. We go up to Conneaut, or else we'll go west and we'll go all the way to Avon. Yeah, I think we go to Avon. But we got to fly in front of Burke Lakefront. So we call them up. One of us is usually on radio with the tower. But we can get high and get really close to Cleveland Stadium. So talk a little bit about that. Yeah. That's fun as crap. I'm telling you.
I bet.
Up there, you know, all day flying up at the lake. That's the luxury about the lake, is you can fly all day.
Right.
So, you
know. So like Tim said, you got the city of Cleveland here. Everybody's probably heard of Burke Lakefront Airport. It's right in front of the city, basically a little bit to the east. And then Mike Genovic lives out there a few miles to the east. Okay. So right if we say right on the lake, he's got a perfect setup. He's got a perfect setup right there.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, you know, 3, 4, 5 of us will go there on a nice day, and a nice north day, and we'll just launch there and we'll fly around. Sometimes we'll say, well, let's go on a cross country. So if we want to go east, it's not a problem because we're not going to go by Burke and we're not going to be in the city. But sometimes we'll want to go west. For example, there's a Mexican restaurant down maybe 25 miles down the shore. And we've landed next to this Mexican restaurant right next to the patio. And people are there eating. We come in, we land next to the patio. 10 paces from the patio, we go up there, have some margaritas,
it's funny.
Mexican food.
Everybody talks about Tucker Gott's video going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
We used to go to Applebee's back in 2006.
Land right in.
How to use YouTube.
We would go, but we didn't have YouTube. Right. You know, everybody talks about we could have been the original guys for going to Apple. We would land in Applebee's parking lot in Streetsboro. I remember one night it got dark. I'm flying around. I was like 2 years into it. We take off. He goes in front of me. It was dark. I couldn't see. All of a sudden I seen Applebee's, you know, thing, and he was lucky enough to lay his glider out in the parking lot.
Right.
I was crapping my pants. It was dark out flying around. I couldn't see anything. Landed right in the parking lot. Hey, go have supper. So we did that a long time ago.
Yeah. Anyhow, the story about Brown Stadium. So one time we said, well, we're going to launch at Mike's and we're going to fly past Burke, the airport. So Mike gets on the phone. He calls Burke, gives him a heads up. Is it okay? They say, yeah, that's fine. Says, okay. We give him a half-hour window. So Mike will say something like, we'll be there between 12 and 12:30. We'll be coming through. And man, I'll tell you what.
And just so everybody knows, the nostalgia. I mean, of Clevelander, there's so much nostalgia, just like if you're a sports fan, but it gets better because not only do you have Cleveland Browns Stadium, you also have right next to it.
You got
Science Center,
and
Burke Lakefront Airport,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All that
how
stuff
cool is that? You're flying next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you got the docks with the big iron ore boats and all that stuff. It was a perfect day. So we did that. And foot dragging down the runway, at Burke Lakefront.
Wow.
One guy's high, one guy's low, one guy's by the tower. Of it. Yeah, we got a lot of video. So who's flying over the big iron ore boat? I remember Mike was, and I'm going, wow, the perspective. I was up high, he's down low, and I'm thinking, man, that iron ore boat is giant.
Oh yeah,
it makes him look like a flea. And you know how perspective is. When you're high and someone's low, I'm thinking, man, if he had an engine out, holy crap. Can you imagine landing next to a freaking iron ore boat in the water? How the hell would you get out? But anyhow, so that was the time we flew close to Brown Stadium. Of course, there was no game or anything, but man, I'll tell you the perspective. And like you said, you're from Cleveland. We're all from Cleveland. Flying next to the Brown Stadium, just 50 feet off it or something, 100 feet, whatever, just cruising by.
We got picked to go to Kent, remember, to fly in during one of their state games or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to come in over the goalpost and down to Kent Stadium.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
What great stories you guys have, boy.
Well, wait till you hear this next story.
I could listen to you guys for hours, some of the stories you guys have.
We can tell you some, but not on this.
Yeah.
That's what the after show's for. What about Colombia? Who'd you fly with in Colombia?
Oh my gosh.
Tim's favorite place. Now Colombia. So it's awesome.
Me being afraid of heights, like I talked in my original part of my career, it was crazy. Then once I started paragliding, you originally start ridge soaring, which is great up here, which is easy for ridge soaring. Not up here. It's harder at Edgewater. It's a P3 site, small window. But then you got a tow. So originally we went with this guy, Alan Abar, he's from Indiana, towed us up. And I would always freak out and pin off at 1,000 feet. These guys would bust my balls all day long. We'd go up and they would ride the road all the way down there and be up 3,000 feet, getting towed up. If nobody's ever had a tow line on them for 3,000 feet, it's weird. It's a weird feeling, especially when you're not used to height and you're getting yanked up. Your glider's way behind you. It's a weird feeling. So I would always pin off. Well, I got used to it. We got our own tow rig. We're just going crazy with it. But then now I fly high. We went down to Colombia. We're flying at 8,000, 8,500 all the time. Thermaling like crazy, collapses all over the place. I mean, now I'm just into it. He always makes fun of me because of how I used to fly low. Now it's like fly high Timmy.
Sky out Timmy.
Yeah.
Sky high Timmy.
Yeah.
I know you've invited me to come up there to tow, and I'm going to come up there at some point soon. I mean, Tori would be amazing going out to California, but to fly over my hometown would be the coolest thing probably for me that I could do. So I would definitely do it. If it's not going to be this year, maybe in the fall. The fall might be a good time. Are you both coming down for Dave Purton if it happens?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go to Dave Purton's. That's one flying I've never been to, and I know it's awesome.
It's fun. I know Ripman said he's going to come up for it. Dave will also be there too, because if the Renaissance Festival happens, he'll be here in town with me. And it's only 2 hours from my place.
We can do a pay in there,
I think it's going to be a real, Tim, you were there last year. You know how it's not a big LZ for the number of people that were there last year. And I think it's going to be even maybe twice as crowded this year.
Yeah, it'd be good if you could find something else. It was fun going down the river. We did some actually towing down on the river with that, I forget his name. He's from West Virginia, but he had a parachute. We towed behind a jet ski.
But you didn't talk about Colombia now. Let's go back to Colombia. Who you flew with out there?
Oh, go for it.
Well, if I don't know if you guys know who Paul Takas. Paul, his name is Pal Takas. One of the best acro pilots in the world.
Yes.
You know, he's a great cross country pilot. He's a competition pilot. He flies in the, you know, the worlds and, you know, those competitions and stuff.
Started out as acro.
He started out as acro. Now he's a great cross country pilot. You know, I saw him on YouTube probably 10 years ago. I've been following him. You know, I'm not afraid to say he's my idol. You know, I love him. He's a great guy. He's a great pilot. He's a humble guy, but he's just got all the skills in the world. Great acro pilot.
Started
great cross country pilot.
Infinity tumbles. He's the guy who started it.
I think he started. Yeah, I think he started that. So he's just a great pilot. So we had an opportunity this year to fly with him in Colombia because that's his go-to paragliding place.
He built a house down there
in the winter. He just built a house down there. He's got his own little launch tucked away, adjacent next to one of the famous launches there. And you know, he's just, if you follow him, you'd understand, you'd know he's just a great pilot. Well, he does tandem training, and if you go on YouTube and watch, for example, he started tandem acro training probably 5 years ago. There's a really cool, interesting video of him doing an infinity tumble with another acro pilot strapped to him on some U-turn glider. All the lines snapped. That's a really cool video. They're tumbling. All you see is doosh, all the lines snapped. Of course, the acro pilot in front of him had the presence of mind, boom, through the reserve. It was a steerable reserve. Guess where they landed? Right on the beach, just like they're supposed to. They landed it right there. So that's the guy. I mean, that's the guy we got to fly with. So I got to do a tandem with him.
Oh, how cool.
I almost punched him in the throat. So
I'm flying for 19 years, right? I never did a tandem before in my life. Here, I do a tandem with Paul out in Colombia. And I'll tell you what, I learned a lot. I learned a ton just flying with him. We all did. Everybody. We had 5 other guys.
He's starting to do something new. Normally, he just does a tandem with one person, but he started getting a group together. And it's really hard for him to do that because could you imagine paragliding with 5 people trying to get in the same thermals and the same
and coach them all,
and get them all. So when I was, I think one of the last ones to launch there up in where were we up north? Not Pinanichi, but
that was
Rolanillo.
Yeah.
So we launch and he's up there. He gets up to about 9,000 feet. I get up. We go to the next thermal. I'm coming down. Him and Pal come down, show me where the thermal is, in my ear the whole time, talking about how to core thermal, how to do it. I'm getting my ass handed to me in a few of these things.
Rough, yeah.
It was rough. I had like 4 or 5 full collapses. It was a lot of fun, but put it in perspective, you know, he's my idol now. When I was growing up, my idol was Evel Knievel. Could you imagine sitting on the back of a motorcycle and having Evel Knievel behind you? That's what happened.
Exactly what it's like.
For paragliding, it was the best. It wasn't all that expensive.
No, I'd do it again tomorrow.
We're doing it next year.
We're going to do it next year for sure.
Yeah, but we learned a lot. Learned how to really, because he really got on in my ear because I'm always being safe. I'm trying to be the safe guy paragliding. Everybody's in these thermals and they're like 20 people all gathered together in a gaggle, and I'm way out here. And he's like, Timmy, get your ass over here. Get over here. Let's go. And I'd have to core the thermal up amongst all the other people, but it worked out. It was really good.
And the good thing about him is he knows that area. He knows where all the lift is. He knows where the house thermals are, he just knows it all. So flying with him, he was constantly talking. I learned a ton.
The Andes Mountains down there are so beautiful. If anybody gets into paragliding, it's like down at launch number 7 at Pinanichi, I call it. It's like thermaling in a bathtub. It's so easy. I mean, you can get up to 9,000 feet so easy and just glide wherever you want to go for 6-7 hours. I mean,
you can fly all day if you're.
What's a good time of year to go there?
Yeah, we fly Edgewater.
December, January, February. No, that's the prime time.
And that's a great time to leave here too. Yeah.
Everybody in the world goes there. I mean, and they do the worlds there. They have world comps there. you know, you go to a world comp and all you see are these super skinny gliders, a bunch of them launching one after another. You know?
We usually go at the end of January to February, but that is when the comps are. So you're flying with a lot of people. I mean, some of the gaggles are they got a lot of people in them. So it's if you're not used to it, it's scary. But it was a lot of fun.
Great place to learn. Great place to learn.
Cheap too. I went down there after airfare. I think I had $400 in my pocket, Colombian pesos. I came home with 200 after a week, and I ate like a king. We had a hotel with 4 pools. It was the best time ever. I'd live down there if I could, just for the flying.
You guys have a lot of experience, and if for anybody that's in the chat, I haven't seen a lot of questions coming in, but if anybody does have questions for either Tim or Dom, please put them in the chat. We'll ask them for you. I do want to pause for 1 second. Thank Linda Anderson, who just made a donation to the show. Linda, you're awesome. Thank you for doing that all the time for us. We really appreciate it. I also want to, again, we play the video. We don't talk too much in the show about sponsors, but I do want to thank our sponsors of the show again for what they do to support us as well. I do have to say this. I did have a flight last night. I did go up with Chris Holbert of Paramotor, Predator Paramotor. So thank you, Chris, because he actually did a tandem and took my wife up with him. And then my son flew the Fresh Breeze with the trike, and I did a foot launch. And so it was the first time the 3 of us got to be up in the air together, which was amazing and awesome. It was we launched right at sunset, so we got to see a beautiful, beautiful sunset. Myself, I landed first, then Chris and my wife came down, and then my son called me. He says, "Dad, I'm lost. I can't find anything. I have no idea where the airport is," because it was starting to get dark. So one of our newest sponsors is PPG Lights, and people have seen me in some of the videos with my lights, and got the flashing lights and the police lights and the American flag lights. I said, "Bren, I can see you up in the air. Look to your left at your 9 o'clock, and my lights are flashing on the ground." He goes, "Oh, Dad, I can definitely see you." So those are some great lights. I wanted to go ahead and just throw that out there, and it's really a great product. PPG Lights. Take a look at that.
That's cool.
I'm gonna get some.
Yeah, me too.
They're really great. They're fun too, and you can just I have the little box on the side, velcroed and zip tied to the side of my unit, so I can just reach down and change it as I'm flying, which is awesome.
Hey, Dave,
Yes,
nobody wants to hear about your lights, okay?
Okay.
Nobody wants to hear about them. Nope.
Dom wanted to hear about them. He said he wants to get some.
Absolutely, I'm getting some. Those are awesome.
Oh man, come on now, come on! I want some.
Why don't you read one of the questions from the chat there, Dave?
Let's see here. How awesome is Trike Flyer? Well, Trike Flyer is pretty cool. Going back to the beginning of the interview, what about Eric DeFore? Wasn't he training back in the day?
He was. Yeah, he was.
Eric, yeah.
He was like the godfather of it all. Him, and we hung around him. Jeff Goyne, we've been around Goyne quite a bit.
Yeah,
But he wasn't training.
Yeah, Eric's a great pilot. I remember when he came out, when he started importing that unit that he sells now. What
Air Conception?
Yeah, that Air Conception. I remember this is probably 10 years ago in Florida. I went down to his place, tried that thing on with that 130 motor, and I was like, oh my God. This
42
is like
pounds.
I picked it up, put it on like a jacket, and it had power. And I don't know why I didn't buy it way back then, but it's an awesome, awesome motor. And I love that titanium. It's so light. We were flying the other day with a guy that Matt, when we went with Bill and Matt had that Air Conception. Now I'm flying the mini plane. It's nice and light, but I picked that up and I go, wow. I mean, it's lighter than my mini plane. It's awesome. And it's titanium. So I got my eyeball on one of them. It's the 200. I'm going to try to pick one of those up. I love it.
I actually got one. If we're going down to, or if you're going over to Oklahoma for the July 4th, I'll make sure I bring it.
Okay.
Mine's a Nitro 200 titanium.
Yeah, I love that thing. Is it for
Fly it
sale?
all you want.
For sale?
No,
Oh, hell
put
no.
it back in the truck.
If I see
No,
one,
it's funny. I've got probably 130, 140 hours on mine. Didn't give me any lick of problems. The first 26 did. It was an electrical problem with it, but they were right up on top of it. And I've got 130, 140 hours on it, still running strong. So I love it.
Dom, for the number of gliders that you have in your basement, Dave has the same number of motors in his
No kidding.
trailer.
People in our group
Yeah.
actually have more.
I mean, you can't have too much paragliding gear. I don't care.
No, I mean, look, I got a motor and I've got a
With
wing
you.
for every day of the week. I mean, designer colors too.
Yeah, we
How
go-
long are we going to be able to do this? Just the more the merrier.
We can wait till we're younger.
He or she who dies with the most paramotors and paragliders wins.
There you
It'll
go.
be Mike Genovic. Mike Genovic.
yeah.
He's going to be the most.
There you go.
He has the most.
I've already told Dave that half my paramotors and half my wings are going to him. So,
Really? Oh, nice.
oh, really?
James Robinson wants to know, how does learning to paraglide compared to learning to fly with the motor?
Well, I've always said, and we think about it a lot and we talk about it a lot. I wish I would have learned paragliding first, to learn the glider, the control, what can happen, how to collapse a glider, how to do different things. But in Ohio, as you know, there's not a lot of places. Now we got Edgewater, we got towing to do it. So it's always a struggle if you tell a guy who's new to the sport to get into PPG or PG, because if you PG, you're going to be waiting around a lot, especially in Ohio. PPG, you can get your ass up with that lift lever, just go for it. But I wish I would have started paragliding. I think there's a lot learned. It's like playing chess. Every decision you make, you either gain an inch here, an inch there. A lot of thought.
Or you'll lose 2 foot here and there.
Yeah. There's a lot ramifications if you make the wrong mistake, especially if you're flying or cross country and you go over a big vast of field or of wooded area. So.
Follow-up question. Here's another question. Is it easy to transition from PPG to PG?
Let's talk
The other way around, I think, is easy to transition from.
Although
PG.
the guys up north who were PGs, they went to PG. They hated the vibrating on their back. But they knew the glider.
Yeah.
So to transition into it, it's easy. You know what it's like up in the air. You know how to land. But you don't know all the choices. And I'm going to tell you, because you're flying in calm conditions. I mean, Kurt always trained you only fly in the beautiful air, only, take off from 7 till 9, and then from like 7 at night until 9, right? So you're very limited. When we're flying, you're getting your ass handed to you. I mean, you're getting rocked around pretty good.
It's just a better way to learn the sport. If guys that start paragliding, and I've seen a lot of them over the years, they, I think, are better pilots, just all around. Not to say anything, this isn't a diss on paramotoring or anything like that, because when you paraglide, you fly in different air, like Tim said, and you learn to tolerate more turbulence than otherwise. When you're paragliding PPG, a lot of times you're just flying, like Tim said, 2 hours after sunrise, 2 hours before sunset. And you just don't get the feel like you do.
One thing is wind tolerance too. I mean, we go to sites and we see experienced paraglider guys. They get a little bit of wind and they can't get their glider going, right? Because they're used to mountains.
Depends on where
we fly in
flying.
26 mile an hour winds normally up at Edgewater, anywhere from 10. I've flown in 26. When it catches up.
A small glider, yeah.
We got all kinds of different gliders, but we can go to sites outside of the U.S. down to Torrey, and some of these guys can't even handle we kite like 4 to 5 hours a day sometimes up at Edgewater.
I was going to say, I was wondering how I was going to take my 25-meter free flight wing and handle 26 miles an hour.
No.
16 is my limit.
Yeah, when we go up to Edgewater, we got like 6 gliders in the back of each of our cars, and all different kind of harnesses and weight. Yeah. We throw weight in and stuff like that.
So there's a couple questions here, and I feel like there's a story behind these questions. And these 2 questions come from Jim Yeager.
Jimmy.
And there's the answer.
He's our third guy. He's the trio. He should be sitting here.
Welcome to the show, Jim.
There he is, right here. There's Jimmy.
Part of the 3 amigos. For the first 5 years, it was us 3, and he was the one that him and his wife.
All right. What's the
chaser
Yeager question?
All right. So Jim wants to know, but I think he already does know, but wants to hear you say the story about Dom flying over 100 miles and also flying over Lake Erie to Kelly's Island.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Really?
oh,
Well, that's only like
you know
about 3
Kelly's
miles,
Island.
right? It's only about a 3 mile.
It's about 3 miles. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you tell it.
So we've done it a couple of times. One time, like we got permission to launch at Marblehead at the airport right there. So we launched at that airport. We'd have like 5 or 6 pilots. And I'll tell you what, I hate the water because I landed in the water once and I almost drowned. And luckily there was a piece of rebar there next to the concrete and I grabbed onto it. I see how you could die, and we all know this. You can die very easy landing in the water. So when I do that trip to Kelly's Island, I'm definitely high enough so I got glide both ways. Some of the guys we fly with, I'll say Lenny, he's a great swimmer.
I saved his
but
ass.
I'm at 3,000 feet, and you know how the perspective is. It looks like Lenny's at like 50 feet. And when I got down, I said, Lenny, what are you doing if you have an engine up? Oh, I'll land on one of them fishing boats or next to one of them. The guy, I'm going, whatever, you know. But yeah, it's cool. We fly there and then fly around the island, have a great time. Just
so that's with motor. You're flying with motor.
With motor, absolutely. Yeah,
and then 100 mile, 110 mile actually.
And then for anybody that doesn't know about Kelly's Island, it's just a party. That's Putin Bay.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's Putin Bay.
I got a question from the chat. John Adams wants to know, is either one of you guys thrown a reserve and how many times?
No, never have. But Jaeger, I can tell a story about Jaeger. So many times you go into fly-ins. We've been to a lot. So we went out to Sluggers out in Shippensville. So we go out there. It's getting late, like 5 o'clock. Actually, Kurt warned me about that one because it was the hurricane was coming up the coast. And he goes, what are you guys doing going up? You know, a hurricane's coming up the coast. And he said, forget about it. We're going to go. So we went. My wife was with me. We had a good time. We're driving out there. All of a sudden we get to the field and we're like, hey, nobody's flying. What the hell? Let's go. Dom gets his shit out. We go out. We get up in the air and all of a sudden we see this big wall of dirt coming right towards us. 40 mile an hour gust front coming. I fell about 300 feet straight back. My glider just wrapped up into a little ball. And all of a sudden I look down the field and I see everybody just falling out of the sky. Dominic, Jaeger turned around. He'd tell the story better. He turned around and went downwind. Right before I hit the ground, my glider opened up. And that's when I bought my first reserve. I didn't have a reserve because I was trained not to have one. Right.
Well, let's talk about that because I wanted to ask you that too. Go ahead, finish your story. I apologize.
Okay, so I landed, I wadded my stuff up. Me and my wife kissed. She ran right over to Chris, Southern Skies, Chris Bowles. Bought a brand new reserve for me, handed it to me. Dominic bounced on the ground a few times, but Jaeger went like 3 miles down and it got dark. All of a sudden we go to try to find him. He ruined all his shit too, but he ended up throwing his reserve because his glider ended up underneath of him. He had a frontal and it came up underneath him. He threw his reserve, came down on his reserve, saved his ass. He bought that one from Paul Tarneski, I think.
Yeah, Paul Zarnicki.
Yep. But yeah, he has. I don't fly without one unless it's really hot day, humid, and I need to lose the extra weight because I'm usually flying the Monster. But I love flying with my red handle buddy. I would never, ever even think of towing or paragliding without one. We do ridge soar without them when I got a light harness on. Dom usually flies with 2 reserves.
Do either of you fly with flotation?
I don't.
I should have. A little story about our buddy Mike Genovic at his place. If you run off of his site, if you aren't up, you're in the water. One day we were flying there with Lenny. He's another local guy here. We have about 10 to 12 guys in our area in our group. But he ended up going in the lake. Dom and I were up high. We ended up spiraling down, coming down. He was out about 75 yards.
Yeah.
He was going to drown.
He did a backstroke all the way back.
So I swam out. Yeah, I swam, but he thought he was going to die. He hasn't flown since then. Well, he did at Connie at one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should. Genovic always tells me to. He has one all the time, but we get into some precarious places over the lake where we shouldn't have. But yeah.
So we were seeing that we all went to the same instructor. We were taught we don't need to wear a helmet. and we don't need to fly with reserve.
Yeah.
And
I
do
never
fly
wear a
with
helmet. I don't wear a helmet. I know
You
I
do
should.
not?
I do not. I hate helmets.
Okay.
I like.
Where do you-
I do when I paraglide. That's
Where do you
what
put
we
your
do.
GoPro? If you're not wearing a helmet, how do you have a GoPro?
I
Isn't that
put
what
it
it's
on the
for?
side.
I guess I could do that. So, okay.
But yeah, I was taught not that you shouldn't need one. You're under a glider anyways, but when you're stupid and do stupid stuff sometimes, like flying gust fronts.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm paragliding, I always have one just because, you know, I don't have that lift lever to save my ass all the time.
So, Tim, when you had your accident, you weren't wearing a helmet?
Nope.
No concern about hitting your head or anything like that?
Nah. I probably should be, but no.
I mean, I flipped that trike, and I was glad I did have that helmet on, because then I wouldn't have had a video if I didn't.
I know our third amigo is always after us, but he's more, he likes the communications. Me and Dom never had communications. We'd just do our thing, flying around. Jaeger'd always wanting to talk to us, but we never did. He's very proponent about the helmets. We just never have.
We were talking in the pre-show about Dominic's knowledge about gliders. And so if you have any questions about gliders, hopefully he can answer them. But Dominic, I mean, do you feel like your knowledge is limited to some of the older gliders, not so much the new stuff that's coming out there?
Yeah, you know, I'm not really up on the new motor gliders a lot. I just, you know, I haven't been motoring a lot lately, you know, in the last 2 years probably, because I've been paragliding more and more. But so I'm not up on the latest, you know, from Dudek and whoever. Just, you know, I'm just not.
If it's not a Silex, you don't know about it.
Yeah, Silex. These guys never heard of a Silex, probably.
I've heard of it.
Silex.
When
No,
you've got 40 gliders in your basement, you really don't need to be looking.
nah, I don't have a Silex. Oh, I do have a Silex, but man,
I
that's
seen one on for sale the other day. I almost figured about getting it for you.
Yeah.
That was my first high G spiral. I tried your Silex out over by what's the park over here? The old park that shut down, Conneaut Lake or
Bainbridge?
Yeah, it was that Bainbridge. What's that park that shut down by SeaWorld?
Oh, Jog Lake.
Jog Lake. Yeah, so we took off over there and I tried his glider for the first time. It was a Silex and they really like to spin. I ended up almost blacking out because I did such a high G spiral on that one. Come down. I landed, handed it right back to him.
Huh.
Now it's a dinosaur. That thing's a freaking dinosaur. So I'm in the market for a new motor glider. I'm trying to figure out what to get. You know, I don't know. I might go with the Colorado, but
Definitely
keeping
smaller.
my eyes open.
Yeah,
Sure.
I bought too big a one. That thing's too lofty. I need something more sportier.
Colorado's nice. It's sporty.
Yeah, I flew Tim's on a cross country the other day. We did a 40 miler. And I'm glad I had it because these guys were on Speedster, so fast, you know, they were on fast gliders, so I was able to keep up. So,
Tim, are you wearing ear protection?
Yes, always have earmuffs on or stuff like that. Usually just listening to radios, singing while I'm flying.
Singing while you're flying?
Yeah, I do have a helmet. My wife did buy me one. She buys me a lot of stuff, but I just don't do it. I gotta, you know, give a thanks to my wife for this too. I'm sure all of us with our wives, we spend a lot of time in this hobby. I call it a hobby because it's really, PPG is not a sport to me. Paragliding's a sport, but I spent a lot of time away from my family doing this stuff for the last 14 years, and she puts up with it. We go to flyings all the time, so I got to give her a thanks, and I'm sure we all do for our family. You know,
well, I think all of us need to thank our spouses. All of us.
If I'm not flying, I'm usually fixing motors. I mean, that's another thing we didn't talk about. I'm into I fixed yours.
You did
fix Bart Berries. I fixed
parts.
I fixed a lot of them. I mean, Dom has a garage down here with, we used to rip down Simonini engines in about 2 hours, put new cranks, because Simonini has an issue in the past with breaking the cranks off where the Woodruff key was for the pull starter. So we probably got like 10, 12 cranks sitting down in the garage.
Yep.
So I would get a lot of them shipped to me. I fix them for free. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done with fixing the stuff because I just want to fly and paraglide, but I do a lot of motor repair.
We'll talk.
Okay.
I don't need anything right now. Not now. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And, you know, because it is advertised that this Fresh Breeze is such a great motor and it's German engineered and it's not going to have any problems, but yet they still have problems. You know why? Because they're a paramotor.
They all do.
They all have
But I got one Simonini that has over 800 hours on it. I mean,
wow, it's awesome. But like, I mean, there's no pre-flight that I could have done that would have kept the oil from going into my stator, right?
no,
no,
it's because of that.
It sounds like a seal.
The seal popped out on his, and I didn't find it till I ripped it all out. But the seal popped out on yours for some reason.
There's nothing I could have done about that.
Nothing you could have done.
Right.
And you know, I do feel a little guilty about the second time that it happened to you. You know, with the rope that caught in there. I mean, I run it through my head 50 times about, did I tighten that bolt good enough? Did I do this? But it just, things happen once in a while, you know?
Yeah, it's okay. It was a learning experience for me. Dave was there when that whole thing happened. Actually, we were flying together. Remember that, Dave? That was crazy. You're on mute.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go down in the lake.
Yeah, because we were on comms together, and I'm saying, something just hit my prop. I don't even know what it was, and I didn't know that the pull start came out and went through the prop till I got home and was really looking more thoroughly through it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no pull start here. And then
So
It was definitely spooky on the radio for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, because we were going over the lake.
How many motor outs have you had, Dave? How many motor?
One, I seized a motor once.
All right.
So in 4 years, one true motor out.
Yeah,
But I
although-
also, here's the thing with my motors, every single one of them, I treat them like an actual aircraft. I mean, I go through them. I'm meticulous on pre-flights, post-flight, you know, maintenance. I mean, everything is spot on with them.
These guys laugh at me because I take a toothbrush to mine after every flight.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll usually wipe mine down, and I'll usually hit them with a starter fluid about once every 4 or 5 flights. Get them all cleaned off. Make sure they're, you know, because a clean engine, you can see if something's leaking real easy.
Right.
I will go through every bolt. I mean, everything on my motors is I treat them like aircraft.
Hey guys, did you ever see the video when Dave flew into the cornfield and flipped his trike over?
Except for that time, I didn't treat it like an aircraft, but it acted like an aircraft.
Whoops.
Yeah. I get a motor out, it seemed like for a while there, about every month, but we fly a lot. I mean, you know, I hear guys that get it like once a year. We get it like once a month. How about you?
My two were the one where the stator got the oil, the seal, and then the other one was the tube on top of the fuel tank. It sealed itself off, stopping the airflow going into the tank, and I landed in Neil Armstrong's old farm. So how about you, John? Did you ever your motor outs?
One motor out because I ran out of gas over the ocean, but I was able to glide back to the beach.
There you go. Sharky in the Sky question: PPG has reflex and traditional. Does PG mostly have reflex?
I don't know. If any
PG, I don't
has
think any PGs have reflex. No. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen
no.
a free flight wing with reflex.
No.
No, you want to be able to collapse them.
Yeah, actually, Kevin can fly. I think his answer. No, it's something different. Okay, sorry about that. What else? Other adventures, cross country. We talked a little bit, but did you want to go more into some of the cross countries that you've done?
A lot of, you know, we haven't done a lot of the cross countries in the past 2 years, just more because we've been more paragliding than anything. But a lot of them from the beginning, the first 5 years, it would be, like I say, get up right after work at 5:30, get Jaeger. You'd get somebody to travel with us, either a relative or mostly his wife, Julie. Thanks, Julie, if you're watching. She would do it graciously all the time. And she'd be on the radio with Jim if any one of us had an engine out on the way. We'd just get up in the air and go. Fly till dark. I mean, we would fly 50, 60 miles downwind. And then on the way home, you know, we'd land, but naturally we'd have to go out and eat. I got to get up and go to work at 4:30, which, by the way, I probably won't stay late for the late show because I get up at 4:30 to go to work. Many nights there'd be driving, busting my Cayunes coming home, driving 20 miles an hour. If we got a 3-hour drive coming back, we'd stop and eat. My wife would be on the phone calling, where am I? Constantly. I'd get home like
she's not watching.
No, she probably is. But that's why I say thanks.
Sorry,
she
Tracy.
put up with it quite a bit. And still does. And then I'd get home at midnight, crawl into bed, you know. Then the next night we'd get up and do it all over again. I mean, just cross country, crazy. We're going to fly-ins and we'd be sitting with guys bullshitting. Like, that's what a good thing of fly-ins is, when you're bullshitting with the guys and you talk to guys. Well, how many times have you flown? Well, I've flown once since January, and here it is, you know, August. We're flying 50-mile cross countries 3 to 5 nights a week. And then Saturdays in the morning, we'd get up and fly for hours, and then Saturday nights, Sunday mornings. So a lot of cross countries.
Go ahead, John. You want to ask that question?
Question in the chat. Let me bring the chat up. Sharky wants to know, he's got a Mac Para Charger. He grabbed his brakes and his wingtip steering at the same time, and he turned on a dime. He wants to know if you can talk about that. I guess he's wondering why he turned so good.
Well, naturally, if you're doing your brake and wingtip steering, that's one thing that when you want to do a high spiral, I mean, you just grab it down, pull it across your chest. It's a 2D steering. I mean, it's going to generate a lot more energy than just your standard brakes. I mean, if you're not used to it, you got to progress yourself into it. I always remember Max Marion out in California always taught me when we were out there about building, I don't know if it's true or not, but he said you need to build your brain up in some spots in your brain when you're doing some spirals or some heavy wing overs and stuff like that. You got to build your brain up to where you can stand that type of a spiral, or else you're going to black out. So I just started flying to Colorado with 2D, and I did notice that they do spiral pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers his questions right, but you got to really progress. You got to progress slowly. You got to learn how to use that 2D steering to where you're not going to get in trouble.
I got
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've got a Colorado, and that was the first one with a 2D steering. And the first time I ever did this, it took my breath away. It rolled out quick.
Not so much with the Colorado, but when you're flying dudek wings and stuff like that too, you got to be real careful on letting out the trimmers. I'm so used to when I was flying the Power Atlas for 3 to 4 years, when I'm letting out the trimmers, I do one side and then I would reach up and do the other. If you don't do that at the same time on some gliders that are really fast, like the dudeks, you do one out, you're going to go in a spiral right off. So
that's sensitive. Interesting.
Some are that way. Yeah, you got to be real careful.
I mean, I've always done it one at a time, both on my Spider 3, my Ozone Spider 3. I do it on that. And I don't know, maybe I'm not coordinated enough to do them both at the same time, but that's something to start.
Which one does Dan fly? The dudek?
Hadron.
Hadron. You got to be, from what I'm, you got to be careful on just not letting one out full, then slowly reaching up and grab the other. So I'm getting used to that new technology and reaching up and doing them both at the same time, or pulling them in at the same time.
Do you prefer to let your trims all the way out or keep the trims slightly in and speed bar?
I don't fly speed bar unless I'm paragliding. I do want to try it. I've been PPGing all this time without a speed bar. I don't think you fly with speed bar.
Nah, not with motor, and I don't usually use a speed bar.
I mean, paragliding, it's gotten me out of a lot of trouble sometimes, getting in and out of thermals and going to the next thermal, so you have to. But no, but trimmers out. Yeah, we fly a lot full trimmers out around here, because usually when you're flying with Mike Genovic, he likes going like a bat out of hell. You got to keep up with him. He usually flies way in front of you. He had the plasma there for the longest time. Flying back, he'd fly back to us and keep going out. So we'd have trimmers full out. But
he's doing circles.
Yeah, I'm used to flying neutral most of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. Any other questions from the chat or from the panel?
I haven't seen any in the chat, but I could listen to these guys all night. So
all right, hopefully it wasn't too boring of a show for you guys, but
this has been so much fun.
I think everybody enjoyed it. They love hearing your stories. I mean, you guys have been through so much, and a lot of us are just going through what you guys have already been through. Like you said, I mean, you landed at Applebee's before it was even a thing, if you had a camera on, who knows, you guys could have been YouTube sensations.
We wouldn't know who Tucker is.
So it's just like, you guys are like the original OGs,
Yeah, we've done a lot. I'm telling you, we got a lot of stories, a lot of experience.
I hope one day I see you guys that are flying and we could just hang out and just share some more stories and just.
Absolutely.
It's always the fun thing going with science, but the whole thing about this hobby and stuff, you know, we all go through it. We get trained. We have dreams of grandeur and all this stuff of going out and flying and have a good time. But I really say, no matter what, when you're training with somebody, even if you pay or if you don't, you're not really going to get trained till you get with a group of guys. This group of guys that I got with out here, there's like 10 or 12 of us. Dominic, Jim was a really big, he was new just like me, but he taught me a lot of safety stuff. But, you know, that's where you really learn your core values. You're flying next to power lines or something, and then you land in there, the guys are like choking you out saying, what the hell were you doing? What were you thinking? Right. You know, you should have landed downwind instead of towards the lines. Or so that's where you really learn a lot, is with a group of guys. I feel sorry for some people that go out maybe in Arizona or somewhere they don't have nobody to fly with. They learn a lot of bad stuff. But I think with this guy here, Mike Genovic, I can name them all off. Brian Fowler, John up in Cleveland, Jim,
Kelly,
John Kelly, they're all taught me a lot. So I learned a lot over these years. I hope to share it with some people at time. I know we always think about being a trainer, but I don't think that's for me. I think I just want to enjoy the sport. Sure. Hobby, and just have fun with it, and go with that. I mean, we've been doing it for so long. It just, like, what, we got about another 5-10 years ago.
It's amazing.
I stopped there.
You know, I fly with Don Jordan down here.
I want to be like Don Jordan.
Yeah,
he's 83. God bless him. I mean,
awesome.
He is just
Don Jordan is
Yeah,
foot launching still.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great.
About 2-3 years ago, I was out in California over at Saboba. And it was the first time that I had ever flown over about an hour and a half free flight on that site. And that day that I launched, right before me, there was a gentleman. I think he was the father of the owner of Saboba, or he might have been the owner of Saboba, but I think he was pushing 80-81 and foot launched at the 600. And I flew with him for about an hour and a half. I want to be that guy someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to be 80 years old and just,
Absolutely.
Did you ever fly Palomar there, or the Little Black?
No, the only two sites I've ever flown in California has been Andy Jackson. That's where I actually got my PG rating, and then Saboba as well. So I've flown Point of the Mountain as well.
Yep.
Hey, sorry, Dom, if this show is putting you to sleep. I'm just kidding. I'll try to get better guests.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Just
I didn't think you caught that.
No one saw it. James Robinson wants to know, do either of you fly with wheels?
Never have. I've never.
I tried it. You know, like I say, I build trikes. I'm very good friends with the Fly Pod factory as well. I have a trike in my garage right now for sale. I hate trikes. I just don't like them. I think just there's so much out in front.
Hey, Dave.
Where is the Fly Pod factory?
I like the tucked in feeling. It was kind of weird for me too when I talk about the oscillation from a trike. When I'm paragliding now, I'm in a pod and my legs are out in front of me. So I'm noticing a little bit of that now in a pod when I'm flying compared to a standard harness. But wheels, nah, not for me.
But you get the same thing foot flying. If you put your feet out on a speed bar, you're going to notice the same thing. You still get that oscillation just like in a pod.
Yep.
So,
Hey, do you want to make a quick announcement?
Momentum.
One of our previous guests, and he's going to be back on the show. His name's Harley Milne. And Harley is doing the 50-state challenge, and he is almost there. He is heading up to, or is in Washington State right now. Wow. Harley Milne. So if anybody, he's got 2 states left, Washington and Alaska. And
nice.
We've been cheering him on this whole time. We're so excited for him. So if you are in Washington State, look up Harley, because he's looking for some people to fly with up there.
Wow.
I think
you come to Cleveland. If anybody wants to come to Cleveland, we got some stuff.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, especially if you're a P3 pilot too. We're towing you up.
Heck yeah.
What about a P nothing?
I could do that if I'm ever in that
you
area.
Pull me up? Oh, Kevin Comply wants to say, what's the most frustrating part of PPG or PG? Don't say.
Go for it.
Not being able to fly. I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go. Everybody agrees on that.
Like today. Today, for example. Today. So it's rare to fly AM flights at Edgewater. It's just, we call them sunrise flights. It's just never on in the morning. So John Kelly, the famous John Kelly, He is the master of the AM flight. So last night he's on the chat saying, guys, it's going to be good. Sun rises at 5:45 or whatever the hell it was. Be there at 5:30. One other guy joined him. I think, you know what? We're supposed to go towing today. So I'm not going to do that. Dummy me. They had a great, unbelievable. You should see the pictures that they of the sunrise over the city of Cleveland flying. They had a great time. So I wake up 9 o'clock. I'm looking at those pictures going, man, I slept through it. I missed it. I go out in my shop. I get the rig set up. I get the tow rig on the back of the truck. I'm supposed to be at the site at 11:30. I start making calls and stuff. The guy's saying, you know what? It's a blowout here. There's rotor coming over. Not going to tow. The operator's saying, I'm not going to do it. I go, shit. I unload the rig and I look at my watch. I call Burke and they say, oh, it looks like conditions are still good. Hop in my truck, drive down to Edgewater.
Yeah.
I'm walking to the park because now the park's been closed because of COVID. So we have to park down the street. So I'm walking there. I see this Ranger in the truck and I go, oh no, why is that Ranger kind of looking at me? As I'm making a beeline towards the hill, he's coming towards me in this pickup truck. You know what he says? It's 11:45. He goes, are you going over to the ridge? I had my backpack. I go, yeah. He goes, the park closes at 12 o'clock because of the Mayor Jackson put a curfew because of all the Antifa stuff going on. City closed down. You know what? It was blowing. It was good. I turned around and went home. So that was a hard part of the whole day. I shouldn't even I woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
My frustrating thing is work. I got to work instead of fly.
Yeah. My frustrating part is happens kind of every Sunday night right about now when my buddies are saying, hey, we're all meeting at the airport. Yeah. Sunday night flight. Yeah. Have fun. I got something else.
Come on, Dave. We love doing this.
I do love doing it.
I don't know how you guys
I can tell you,
I've got a choice.
It's usually Wednesday and Sundays when it's it could be raining all week. Wednesday and Sunday, beautiful time to fly, and it's just like
always perfect Wednesday and Sunday. Hey,
I couldn't be doing this with you guys because we'd be wanting to fly all the time. I mean, I couldn't do all these blogs.
It's a commitment. It's a commitment.
It's good.
We do it for you guys, is what we do.
No, I'm glad you guys do it. This is great.
I appreciate it. Cool. Well, guys, thank you. I'm gonna put in the chat right now the Zoom meeting ID. I'm going to spell the word meeting right so no one else tells me I have too many I's in the word meeting. There you go. And so if you want to come into the after show and hang out for a while, you're welcome to. I don't know how many. What? There's an ING at the end of meeting. 2 I. I had 2 I's. I corrected it. Don't worry about it.
How do you do that?
Okay. Listen, I got fat fingers. Anyways, so if you want to come in, Dominic, Tim, thank you guys so very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Hey, if anybody wants to see any of my videos, just go on YouTube.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Put my name down, Tim Garvey. I think there's only 53 subscribers, but we have a lot of towing videos here in Cleveland, a lot of the Edgewater videos, a lot of Colombia videos, some videos of me fixing some units in my earlier days. So just check it out.
So if anybody wants to reach you, Tim, should they call Flight Junkies to get a hold of you?
They could. They could. Yep.
No, just leave a comment on one of your videos. You'll probably be able to get back in touch with them. Awesome. How about you, Dominic?
Message me on Facebook.
Yeah, go to Facebook, go to Ohio Paragliding, or go to Edgewater Paragliding.
Edgewater Paragliding on Facebook.
And
I'll jump in on that.
We're pretty active there, so yeah.
Really good pictures on Edgewater. Some guys come down there with the cameras and just really take some really good videos.
We have a lot of good videos there. Brian Fowler makes a lot of good videos. Condo soaring. Go on Edgewater Paragliding. Check it out. A lot of good stuff there.
I'm 393.
Oh. And what, Tim?
Subscriber, yep.
Yeah, so you got 393 subscribers,
really?
Tim.
Wow.
Tucker got, watch out.
There you go. You're on your way, buddy. So we've got a couple people already waiting in the waiting room to come in. Obviously, I'm going to take this from you. Rip Man Ryden, you can go to his YouTube channel, subscribe. He's punching out at least a video a week. I was going to say a day. It seems like that too, because he's always flying down there in Florida. Trike Flyer. We haven't seen many flying videos on the Trike Flyer YouTube.
A lot of farm videos.
A lot of farm videos.
Hey,
And
I talked about
Kyle.
Kyle. I talked about Kyle the other day.
Flying, but Kyle O'Glee had a wonderful video come out, and Trike Flyer had a failed launch, and it seemed like half of the video Kyle was just waiting for Trike Flyer to get off the ground.
He was.
Yeah, check that out.
Frickin' tension knot that I could not see until my 4th attempt.
So we're going to be, me and Dave, there's not going to be a show on Wednesday night. We're going to be heading to Florida to join up with John and everybody else at the Sky Pirates Poker Run. We're super excited.
Yeah.
We're going to be broadcasting from the SIV course next week. We're going to be talking about how to plan an event. I've got Dave Schmaus, who's a pilot here in our Cincinnati-Dayton area. He just planned an awesome, and they just got back. They did an overnight trip. I think it was like 83 miles or something like that. It was a para-camping where they camped. They flew to this this park that's in Columbus, that's outside of Columbus, that has an airstrip and camping at the end of it. I think it's called Wolfe Run, guys, if you've never heard of it. I'm definitely going to go up there at some point here soon. So he's going to be talking about how he's planned the para-camping trip the last 2 years now. And Tim Gaskins is also going to be with us as well. So we're going to pick his brain a little bit about planning bad apples too. So should be an interesting show. The week after that, we're going to be talking about our SIV course and what we went through with Andy and Leah. So we're very excited about that.
Awesome.
Anything?
Kevin Can Fly says, I can't believe you would blow a launch like on camera like that. Actually, Kevin, I learned it from Dave. Okay. Yeah. I've seen Dave blow more launches.
No, you haven't.
What do you grunt?
He blows a lot.
No, I don't.
He does.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks again to Dominic and Tim. We really appreciate you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
You guys want to hang on for
interesting
1 second?
stuff.
Yeah.
Hang on for 1 second before you log off. I'm just going to end the show. Guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Paramotor Nation.